Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Lisa Martin with Silver Spring Town Center, and we are so happy to be celebrating AAPI Heritage Month, starting off with this very special program, Visionary Visual Voices, a special artists panel in celebration of AAPI Month, and it's hosted by artist and poet Neha Mishra, who is also on SSTCI's board of directors. Neha does wonderful, wonderful work creatively and also as a leader of our board and managing and hosting some of our events, which are always exceptional. So you're going to be in for a really wonderful discussion. We have some awesome artists joining us, including Sally Sue, who's an old friend of mine, actually, Shaida Osman, Priya Vadahar, and Mariam Memarsadeghi, who is our featured artist of the month. So we will get into more depth with her and her work next week, a week from tonight, Thursday the 11th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. Swim to New Waters in the studio with Mariam Memarsadeghi. I hope you can join us. That's virtually, but we are getting back to in-person events, including the Silver Spring Blues Festival. It's our 14th year. We just announced the full lineup, which is taking place Saturday, June 17th at downtown Silver Spring, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We have some wonderful talent coming literally from around the world, and as well as local and regional artists. But we have the Bone Shakers, who are touring Spain, Portugal, and Morocco right now with jazz artist Dave Cause. They are one of our featured acts in the Blues Festival, along with the amazing saxophonist Ron Holloway. Clarence the Bluesman Turner is hosting our All-Star Jam, and an array of others, so you will not want to miss it. We also will be celebrating Silver Spring Blues Week starting on Sunday, June 11th, with a special outing to Wolf Trap, Center for the Performing Arts, where we will watch Buddy Guy in concert, the iconic blues artist, top blues artist in the world, Buddy Guy, at Wolf Trap Sunday, June 11th. Join us on the lawn with your Silver Spring Blues Festival t-shirts. And just wanted to make special mention too of some other special AAPI programs that we have coming up. We have Under the Stars with Ukulele Hui at El Golfo's patio on Monday the 15th. So that's always a fun evening. I hope you can join us. We also have been doing these wonderful culinary traditions, discussions of our various cultural communities. And this month we are hosting our second annual, because we started with AAPI last year. That was the first one, and it was really an awesome time. We will have our AAPI Culinary Traditions panel discussion hosted by Chef Kaimana Chi. And the artists tonight, all the artists tonight are invited to be special guest panelists for that, to share their stories. And we have an array of members of our community joining us. We also have just announced a special Twilight Tuesdays event with Meleana Polynesian dance on the 5th Tuesday of May. So it's a hula workshop on Tuesday the 30th of May, and we have regular salsa on the first Tuesday. The second Tuesday is flow arts. Third Tuesday is a new program hosted by one of our board members, Janira, with guest DJs and guest dancers. It's Sunset Tuesdays, Afro-Latin dance party. And those are the third Tuesdays. And then the fourth Tuesdays is hand dancing with DJ Rick. So hope you can join us for all these events and more. And special thanks to all of our generous year-round sponsors, including Montgomery County, United Therapeutics, the Arts and Humanities of Montgomery County, Maryland State Arts, Montgomery College, and many others. And now let's get started with the program. We have I would just like to introduce our host, Neha, who is, as I mentioned, a wonderful eco-contemporary folk artist and poet and superstar member of our board of directors. And she conceived of this gathering. So take it away, Neha.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And hi, everyone. Welcome. I see a lot of SSTCI friends and other board members and my neighbors and family and friend here. So thank you so much for joining us for this very special gathering. We wanted to celebrate, amplify, honor, share API artist for this month. So, and my special thanks to our artists, Priya, Shahida, Mariam, and Sally for making time to join us and for sharing about your creative practices with us today. So before we start, I want to request everybody to just join me in taking 3 deep breaths. You know, we are coming from busy days, busy lives, and flurry of things. So let's breathe together. Take deep, like belly breaths. Don't be afraid to make sound. I'm going to. And yeah, let's just ground ourselves and be present with each other for the time ahead. Okay, so here's the first breath. Second breath. Yes. And third breath. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So I want to start with a poem from this wonderful new book. It's called My Dear Comrades. It's a new book of poetry by Sunu Chandy, who's a local DC area. Oh, I see another one with Namal there. How great. So Sunu is a wonderful DC area poet and a lawyer, a civil rights activist, and this is a brand new book from her collection. It was gifted to me by a very dear friend. So I thought this is a beautiful poem to start our gathering and to celebrate this month with. So this poem is called Gratitude List. Gratitude List. Thank you to myself for not responding to the guy from college who wrote on my Facebook wall, "What do you mean?" after I said to him, "I hope you count yourself amongst the feminists." Thank you for the feminists. Thank you for the bright carrots, the lemons, and the roasted garlic. Thank you for my daughter's notes. Thank you for my daughter's questions. Thank you for the spouse who still makes me laugh in that smile and gently roll my eyes way almost daily. Thank you for the kitchen right after we sweep every night. Thank you for the poet who decided to write a thank you note to her friend after he died. Because what else can one do? Thank you for family PE time and all the many people involved in putting together an online yoga class and an online cardio class and an online meditation session. Thank you for the drive from One More Zoom because the Indigo girls are singing, because it's the church meeting, because it's the friends who used to do Brooklyn game nights, because it's the junior choir practice, because Heather is turning 60, because Annie is graduating, because these poets have new books out, because it's Naomi reading poems, because it's Joy reading poems. Thank you for the bus drivers, nurses, and the grocery store checkout cashiers, for the home healthcare workers in our living room every day, and the other ones who are now out of work. Thank you for the cake, for the first time making coconut cake from scratch, for lemon cake with curd filling, but not great icing that time because we were out of confectional sugar that day. Thank you for the chocolate cake that is on the agenda next time. Thank you for the laundry room with its mask required sign and with the others standing as far away from us as they can. Thank you for solidarity, for those saying this is not the fault of Asian Americans, for the bystander trainings and for all those who intervene. Thank you for my child's questions about resurrection. Thank you for the flowers that have all come and gone. Thank you for the plants that do their best to keep growing. And thank you for joining us this evening. And with that bouquet of thank you from my dear comrades from Sunu Chandi. Please check out the book and her work if you get a chance. I want to welcome our first artist for the evening, who is wonderful Priya Vadyar, who I have had the honor to get connected to during the pandemic, thanks to generosity of one of my neighbors who said, "Hey, Neha, here is a wonderful artist you should know and who also teaches." And I took Priya's class during the pandemic, and it was so wonderful for me. I really admire her practice and her being and her thoughtfulness in making of art, but also contemplating on what does it mean to make art and share art with the world. So thank you so much, Priya, for joining us this evening. And yeah, please share with us about what this art making being means to us. Please.
Well, thank you, Neha. That was really nice of you. That's a lovely introduction. um, Thanks also for inviting me for this event. Thank you also to Lisa. I'm really happy to be here. Well, my name is Priya, as Neha said, and I have a little presentation. I thought that images would work best for this session, this part of the session. Do you see the, okay, great. So this is my studio in Colombia. That's where I work. And I thought that this would be a good time to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a painter primarily. I do other kinds of things too, but painting is, or rather, being a painter is how I identify myself. I work here in this studio in Colombia. It's not always this clean. It's usually not this clean. So don't go by this image. It's one of those days when I may have cleaned everything up. I was born in India, and I spent my childhood in Indonesia, and then later in Mumbai in India. That's where I studied. I have a master's degree in economics, and it's just general trivia, not important from a long time ago, but it's just some information about myself. I moved to the US in 2010, and I moved to Tucson, Arizona, because that's where my husband was studying. He was studying at the University of Arizona. And at the time when I moved to Tucson, I was still sort of trying to, find my way. As an artist, I was still trying to figure out what I was about and what my work was about. And by some grace of the universe, I became a student of this most wonderful person and artist, and also a poet. His name is Josh Goldberg. I became his student, and I think it's through him that I think I found my way as an artist. And so everything that I've done since is because of his presence in my life. So this just gives you a brief idea about the kind of work I do. My work is primarily about the boundaries of the self. So I'm very interested in what it means to what I'm interested in, the unknown and, the hidden and mysterious layers of experience. I'm trying to understand how my inner world and outer world interact, and if there is such a wall between those two worlds. And so I'm sort of somewhere trying to study that through my work. And I'm also interested in what Lauren Isley in his book, he calls it one's interior geography. And I'm very interested in that idea about what our inner lives look like and how our experiences shape that interior life. And so I think that my work is about all these things. And the way I study or try to understand these matters is essentially in the way I work. My work is very process driven, by which I mean that there is great emphasis on the process rather than the end result. When I start my work, I don't have an end in mind. I do not know what the end result or the final output is going to look like. So I have no notions of that at all. And so I begin actually with mark making, and I'm responding to what I see on the canvas, what I see emerging. And initially it's interesting because, when I start, it's very noisy. And I found it interesting, Neha, when you said that let's all take a deep breath and sort of ground ourselves. And I find that it's true. When you first start working, it's so noisy. It's as though all the voices in your head are all sort of, it's like an orchestra, but slowly everything sort of becomes quiet. And slowly, though, the way I'm responding to the canvas and what's emerging on the canvas sort of starts to have a very different quality in the way I'm working and the way I'm responding. And so, in the end, it's about this sense of, I'm almost coming to a point where I'm waiting for a sense of deja vu almost, where there is a kind of recognition. And it is something I'm still trying to understand, because in some ways, I don't know what it is that I'm recognizing, but it comes in strong. And at that point, the way you describe a person, this is Priya, she lives here, she does this, all that slip away. And I think I become more a kind of like a bubbling energy field, and there is some kind of connection that I feel with the work that's also occurred. So in a sense, it feels as though the wall that I was initially talking about, it sort of falls down, and there is no wall. It's like looking into the mirror. And so these work sort of just give you a notion. And every piece, as you can see, there is no direct connection between them. They're all individual pieces of work and very different from each other. But it's something this is how I work. It's not, there's no predetermination of any kind. My current body of work is called A Wedge of Darkness, and this title comes from Virginia Woolf's book, To the Lighthouse. And in that book, the protagonist is sitting knitting by the window, and she's looking at the lighthouse, with the light, it's just going round and round, and she's looking at it. And the protagonist is thinking that, it's only when you lose personality that you are able to understand or glimpse into the unknown. And eventually she says that as she's looking at the light, she becomes the light. And that passage has really resonated with me, because I think that that's exactly what happens to me when I'm working. I feel like there is a losing of personality. It sounds bad, but it's not. Because essentially what it means is that there is a kind of a merging with the vastness, so to speak. And there is an equalization between, the inner world and outer world. And the wall comes down. And I'd say that this way of working has really opened up so much for me in terms of experiencing something beyond what I understand and what I know. There are so many questions, so there are no clear answers that I have about things, but I think that the last 10, 12 years have really opened up something for me. And so I guess that's more or less about what I can say about the work. This is another shot of my studio. This is my website, and I'm on Instagram. I think I'll stop here. I hope that was all right.
Perfect. Thank you so
Sure.
much, Priya. Really love. Yeah, I feel what you said about like inner geography, and I also love the surrender in your work, in a sense, like in that mark making. And I just find it such a powerful, beautiful metaphor for life. Because sometimes we can be so obsessed with destinations that we forget like that journey is in itself something to be savored and to be explored, and also that sense of surrender. I just really appreciate that. And yay for wonderful studio organization. Thank you for sharing with us.
It's good to do it, once in a while, to just know that you have a floor that looks a certain way and you can see the color of the floor and whatnot,
And
so
the
it's good to do
balance
it.
of also creative order and chaos. So
Yeah,
thank
exactly.
you for
So,
also
because when you're in the throes of making, it's you can't worry about it. But when there's a lull, it's good to clean it up and just,
Yeah, great.
yeah.
Thank you so much for starting us, Priya. So with
Thank you
that,
so
actually,
much.
it's really appropriate. Speaking of geographies, I want to next invite Sally Sue, who is also a wonderful local artist who also comes from multicultural, multi-geographies of Southeast Asia and Taiwan and Philippines and US. And we were talking how we both share living on the DC Maryland border. So we also inhabit the border life in the local area. So, and I really appreciate Lisa for connecting me to Sally, because we are newer to knowing each other, but I've just been so admiring just the galaxy of multi-dimensional works. And Sally, you're absolutely rich and inspiring life experience. So thank you for being with us. And yeah, I will help you by opening your website. Just let me know when I should open it. Just give me a sign, okay? And here we can unmute Sally. Go ahead, Sally.
Okay. Can you hear me? My
Yes.
computer was acting up. So yeah, my name is Sally So, and I'm from all over the place. I live everywhere, and I have art show international and nationally. And my it's funniest thing is that my studio is everywhere. It's not just one spot. Like today, I feel inspired in the living room. I do it in the living room. Tomorrow I was inspired in a little bit of bathroom. I'll do it in the bathroom. So I have no setup. I'm not organized, which bothers me a little bit, but that's how I work. And I almost the same. I never know a title for my art. I couldn't. If I do that, I cannot paint. So usually I would just let canvas. I just look at a canvas and I just start emotionally and unconsciously splash some color on it, and then the canvas, semi canvas, possess me, like it is. I don't know what's that come from, but I just say, okay, it's telling me to do this and that. I don't know where that's from, but I've been traveling a lot and I've been through some interesting life experience. I can only think that when I travel, I don't like to take a lot of pictures. I want to absorb everything I see and feel. So it's like stored inside of me unconsciously. It's there somewhere else, and so mixed with all kinds of view, all kinds of scenery, all kinds of culture, message inside of me. But like I said, I'm not organized. I'm not gonna say, oh, this is from this country and this is this color here. It's just like, whoa, it's like a melting inside of me. And same with my personal experience or whatever. So I just started with a canvas telling me, go ahead. Okay, I say, fine. So I just go to circle. I don't know why I do circle. I do not know. And then next I was just like, okay, here's a gold and here's an orange. Eventually I try to figure myself out, because like people were questioning me. So you cannot not know. I say, I do not know. It's like very unconscious thing. And then it might be done today. It might be, I just leave it there. 6 months later, I have inspiration again. I can splash in my canvas again. Again, I don't know where it's coming from, but I think it's from something that I absorbed, okay, from surrounding, from whoever experience or whatever, but I have no name for it. It's just inside of me and just come out. Like I have a piece. I also do fused glass, okay. Fused glass, it's glass on glass, and then you melt it, okay. I think the Italian also had those fused glass. And this one, when I was designing it, I had no idea. There's no idea how I gonna name this, and why am I putting the orange? Why am I putting those little threads of color there in big bold orange piece to melt it in there? After it's done, like probably after 3 months later, I said, oh, that's Morocco. Because so I titled Morocco. At the time, I did not know that come through. So it's just very unconscious, but it's something that's, threaded, like a little thread and threading inside of me, but it comes out. And so I just have problem title my art after I done it. Oh, before I never title my name because I cannot paint anymore. I cannot create because I will try to fit in something. When I fit in something, I block myself. So I just almost as like I just very instantly, just like, okay, I'm gonna paint, but I don't know. Unless it's a more realistic painting, I will kind of have to know something. I really don't know. I just let the canvas control me, and I let the palette control me, and I let my tool controls me. And control means some unconscious force coming, and that I try to really try hard. How is that? Where is that force come from? I think it's like still I experienced it somewhere somehow, but I didn't organize it, and then it started just jump out of me when I was out of control. Anyway, so that's about it how I do it, and there are some realistic piece I can tell you, but also I lost myself. Excuse me for 1 minute. I will get this painting for you, and it's very strange thing. Okay.
Great. I love that real-time exploration of places in which we make and inhabit our art, and yeah, our relationship with knowing and unknowing. Here it
So you see this? Can you tell me what color is the house?
is. It like orange?
Orange, red, right? What about the background? What do you think? How you feel with that color?
Is it like a sunset or dawn happening?
Oh, like fire, okay?
Oh, fire.
It's just totally such a hot color going on. Only the grass was a little cool color. And that this story is just tell you how much I can lost my control of myself when I'm doing the art is I want to do something like a semi-realistic painting of this house in MacArthur somewhere. And it was in August, hot, very hot. And then the mosquito was biting me while I was mixing color to paint it. I didn't realize I painted the house red, like firing red, because I was sweating and hot and really bothered by the mosquito. And then this person walked by me and said, why did you paint that White House red? I said, oh, that's a White House? I try to be a little bit more realistic. I don't know how I turn it red, like fiery red. I just explained to myself, I lost myself because I was really hot. Sorry, simply I was very hot. I'm not thinking about White House. I'm not even thinking. I just go to the red, So that's my little story from my experience.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sally. Sally, let me pull your website if you want
Okay.
to talk about maybe a few pieces.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
put it here.
Okay.
Okay. Can
All
you see
right.
it?
You can slowly go now. I can talk about any of this, but this one particular one, you can go down a little bit. I'm sorry. Thank you for helping me with this. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Tell
Yeah,
me.
that's the house. It was
I
white.
think
And
it's the house.
you
Okay.
can keep going. Okay, go out a little bit. Okay, that's it. Go to yes, this one, the dark one with a little bit of
Mhm.
lighter color. It's called a light. I couldn't name that for years. And then suddenly I see the light. I said, okay, I'll name it light. And then people saw it. I said, why do you name light? It's so dark. I said, I see the light very clear. Maybe because in the dark, you can see light. Only in the dark, you can see light. Only in the dark, you'll search for light. And I consciously, I painted it pitch dark. And all of a sudden, there's a strip of light. I didn't know what I was doing. I just have a silver laying around. I said, okay. So like my tool, my camera, not my camera, my canvas and my palette is just tell me, go put that silver there, right? So I put it there, and then I realized later the title should be light, because it's in the dark, you can see light, you know, so.
Thank you so much, Sally. I feel, yeah, it's so, to me, it's like these contemplative threads of unknowing, and the world's need to know with data and tracking everything, every move, every purchase. And almost it's I feel both like the meditation, and I feel it's also a revolution as artists to
Yes.
be fine with unknowing and to play with unknowing. So yeah, really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so
So
much.
much.
Thank you. And with that, unknowing to new knowings, I want to welcome Shahida Osman, who is also a wonderful interweaving of my many worlds. And Shahida, I'm so glad to have you here. We met through poetry, and you know, as although they say like magnets don't attract, but I feel in human beings the laws of magnetism work strangely. So because we both have love for both poetry and art, and role of art in activism and creating a better world, I really appreciate that about Shaida's art being, and in addition to being a super mom, having a really inspiring life story, and doing pull-ups with ease, and you know, and advocating for wonderful causes, which I'll let you speak about. Shaida, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. What an honor. Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank you, Nihar, for giving me this opportunity. This is actually, I would say, my first time presenting my art virtually with a group of amazing artists. So it's very nerve-wracking for me. And, you know, thank you, Lisa, for this opportunity to share it with Silver Spring Arts. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm not as organized as Priya, but I'll try my best. Here we go. Can you see my screen?
Oh, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Yes, it's coming.
So I think what I'll do is I'll share first. So I've been doing art for 20 years. I'm a Singaporean. I'm born in Singapore. So I had a very rural village childhood. It was, I would say, overprotective, and it was a strict Muslim household. And after my childhood there, I went overseas to England to escape my overprotective parents. So I had, and after that, I immediately got married. It was 18 years. It was difficult because of his mental health. But I did try to juggle it and meet the demands of, you know, both artists through my studio practice and being a mom. So I will go through my, this one doesn't have my black and white series, but I realized when I was in my previous marriage, all my artworks were black and white because I was trying to make sense of the mess and the conflict that I'm in. And let's see whether I can show you here. So So this one is called Heads in the Clouds, is where we have people facing each other and they are not actually seeing eye to eye. And the things that they have to say or the things they are perceiving are actually in their head and not being, conversed to each other. This one is called Anyone Can Dream. So it was, I think, 18 years of marriage, but there's certain aspect of intimacy which was highly neglected. So there's a lot of aspect of fantasizing. So this one is what called Anyone Can Dream. So either the man is dreaming that he's being kissed, or the woman dreaming of kissing the man. This one is called Prelude. The bond of people staying face to face before any sparks fly off. And that's me and my son. This one is titled 802 because we did a 5-hour bus trip all the way to Kuala Lumpur. And I was 2 minutes late, so I didn't manage to go all the way up to the skyscraper. So I was very upset. I took a photo of me and my son and later did a drawing of it. So it was very minimalist, and I think I started doing colors actually after I dabbled with essential oils and meeting my current husband. And it was like an explosion of colors, and this piece is called, this is my gender game series, where I did a bunch of work with, I started with the Roe versus Wade. So I felt very strongly about this, being a woman. I feel that's a woman rights issue, and the Roe versus Wade was shocking to me, because I thought America is very progressive, but yeah, apparently not. So I did a series on it. I think, yeah, sorry, Sally. So I don't know. A lot of my work involves is very emotionally driven, and like Priya, I don't know what it would look like in the end, but I work on series. And in November last year, I got a chance to sorry. This is like going through my head. Yeah. So in November, I had a chance to showcase 196 portraits of the missing Uyghur people. And I felt very strongly for this because I was neighbor with a Uyghur family in Lawrence, Kansas, and she had a lot of great difficulties. And so I decided to work on it. And so I took the Uyghur Association shared the profile of the missing people. And of course, not all of them missing, some of them have probably died in the prison. And the background is the education camp where they are residing. So this work is still at GWU. I do feel like my work is very emotional driven. I am driven by injustice. I feel very strongly, but I'm very poor at articulating it, maybe verbally. So I express it through arts. What else can I share? Oh, and then I share this. So this one, can you see this? So this one is called We Got This. This is a play on Rosie the Riveter, and the fact that Nike keeps saying like, oh, just do it. And it's like, no, we got this. I don't think women need any motivation to do things. So this is for all the women hustling and, doing their work. We got this. And then I'm going to share. Oh, now my laptop decided to stall. Okay. So I did a bunch of series during the pandemic. Let's see what it is going to look. doesn't want to show, doesn't want to go. Okay, so I did a series during the pandemic, and one of them is titled A-OK. It's like a self mantra. It's like, whatever hell we're going through right now is going to be okay. I don't know why I cannot pull it up to make it bigger.
Shahida, double click now. It was downloading from cloud. Maybe it will open now.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes from cloud. So maybe it will. See, it's coming.
It's coming,
Yeah, try now.
but it's not.
No,
It's like, I don't know. Technology is not my forte.
no, they have a mind of their own, so
Mhm.
it's not you.
No, it's not me, but this is okay. So I thought this is gonna work. Let's see if I can do it another way. Okay, there you go. So this one is called A-OK. It's a mantra to myself and to everyone who needs it during that period. I know we passed it now. This is so during the pandemic, we watch a lot of, me and my family watch a lot of documentaries, and one of the documentaries was on the Arctic and how the glacier is disappearing and how beautiful it is. So this is inspired by it. And like Sally, I'm definitely, I think colors and images are unconsciously drawn for things we see, right? Okay, now how do I go? Yeah, so this one is called Breaking Free. This was right before I got divorced. I think this is me breaking away from the toxicity of my relationship. This one is called By the Beach. It's a huge piece. So I lived in Okinawa, Japan, and there was a huge typhoon. The typhoon broke our boat, but I saved the sail. So this was a painting done on the boat's sail. Okay, this one. This is also during the pandemic. This is FCPS, Fairfax. The mass of the education system during the pandemic, because like school is going virtual, maybe it's not. What are you thinking? Should they be in person? They keep asking, and surveys. It's like I just want to get the kids into a rhythm. So that was it. This one is a series I did on faces, going through the divorce itself. Divorce is still a taboo. I don't know whether it is where parts of Southeast Asia where you are, but as a Malay in Singapore, it's not something, it's something frowned upon. It's like, unless you're like severely physically abused, you don't you don't leave your marriage. So I feel very isolated, and there was a series that I worked on. This is called Fly or Flight. Again, going through my divorce. This one, there's the words like you can, going through the abuse. This is a pandemic one. It's called In and Out. How going through different, we did go outside. We went to different waterfalls and things I did with my family. This one is called Jigsaw, trying to figure out where the kids are, what spots they are. We need to pick them up, and trying to fit up the jigsaw of my life. This is Lip Service. This one is done. My husband is active duty army, so instead of throwing his uniform, I reuse it, and I made several series of work with it. This is also done going through the divorce and the different emotions I feel. How do I go forward? Oh, there you go. This is called optic, how you only see people, eyes and nose. Yeah, this is also going through, this is called silent tumult, the pain that I was going through. This one is called sanguine. Yeah, I think I'm very much an emotional driven artist. Yeah. So this is this one, I cannot remember what it's called, but that's a pandemic series. Yeah. I don't know how Sally and Priya do, whether they work in series, but I definitely do that. I think about an issue that's affecting me. I work on a series, but I don't know exactly what I'm doing. And then it somehow ties together. This is also the pandemic series. During pandemic series, I read a book by Gunter. It talks about the atrocity that China is doing with the what do you call it, body organ harvesting. This is called Waterfall. We went to a lot of waterfall during the pandemic. But that's my passport. I don't know why it's there. Yeah. And so this is called Road Trip. We do a lot of road trip. This is also the divorce series and all the emotions that I was going through. I think some of them are repeats. Yeah. So yeah, I have an art exhibition coming up, and what I would like to end with is, before I share, is I think like Neha, sometimes I think some words express my what I'm trying to envision. And for the next artwork, it was I'll read it. Just as the earth orbits around the sun, so do I around my sun. The gravitas of the pole is biological, mathematical, both logic and illogical, turbulent and silent. In this vast space of motherhood, galaxies of emotions may erupt. Some may glow bright and some grow cold, and yet most mortal mother knows the love for our child twinkle far into the universe beyond our own lifehood. Alongside this maternal pirouette, we have the moon encircling the earth, a reminder of our own feminine self, that we may preserve our self-identity and not be totally eclipsed by caregiving. Thank you. And that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shaida. That's beautiful and so powerful.
You're welcome.
Here, thank you. Yeah, I really, I feel I was thinking of what Sally was talking about in that last painting about the light and dark being tied together. And I feel almost as a continuing thread, your life's work and different shapes and forms and colors and themes of your work are such powerful metaphors of that light and dark, and both claiming one's space, finding one's space, and making one's choices, and also navigating the unknown. So just really, really appreciate you, and what a wonderful body of work you have. And so everyone, please do check out Shaida's work more. And we are going to be doing some poetry, art, mixing, matching canvases in times to come. So I hope you'll stay in touch with us, and we'll come back to our conversation more with each of the artists. So with that, I want to welcome our, I would say, not last, not least, because we have so many artists in this mix, but somebody who is so, so dear to me and truly my beloved, who is Maria Memar Sadeghi, who is with us here. Here she is. And I like to highlight the threads of connection, because I feel sometimes we come to these gatherings not realizing how much community and these threads of life, how it is a weaving, it's an ongoing weaving, even though art making can be a solitary practice, but coming together and sharing space, sharing our stories, it for me, I know as an artist, it helps me even when I'm listening, even when I'm percolating. So welcome, Mariam. Thank you
Thank you.
for us, and tell us, what is this art making magnificence that you manifest in our world?
Neha June, thank you so much. It's such an honor for me to be your friend, and I'm grateful for you bringing me into this great group and this opportunity. I enjoyed so much looking at your art, the other artists. And also I was a student in a workshop that Priya taught. And if you get a chance to take a workshop or a full class with Priya, I highly, highly recommend it. That was one of the best experiences I have had in the art world. It was a 1 day, a few hours on mono printing, and I just loved it. Neha, if you can put up my website, that would be great. I was very it was heartwarming for me to hear about divorce and the pandemic and the Uyghur genocide. Of course, these are very, very, very difficult and traumatic human experiences. But for me too, in the last 3-4 years, Neha knows I've had a lot of challenges. And oh, by the way, my brother, Thomas Dolan, not biological, but closer than any brother could be, is here. And I'm so, so, so grateful to him for being here for us. A lot of difficulties. And then, so I went through a divorce, and as soon as my divorce was legally done, the pandemic started, and I had a massive career shift in some ways because my husband and I were working together, and I left this nonprofit that we created together. So a lot of changes, and more than what I just mentioned. So when I started painting, maybe if you can scroll up and down a little bit, to me, the painting was not about what was necessarily my life, but more about what I wanted to go to. And it took me a while to realize that I'm not painting what I know, I'm painting what I'm seeking. And so when you look at these paintings, you probably don't see that I spend my life working on the human rights situation in Iran, where I'm originally from. I have been, working in that field for a couple of decades now, and it's not a place full of color, and yet it is. It's without hope for the future, it's really hard to stay in my world and to stay committed and to stay motivated. So some of these paintings, when I look at them, I remember, for example, somebody who I was advocating for inside the country not to be executed, who was executed in the end. Or so a lot of people look at my paintings and they say it's so joyful, it's so colorful, it's so happy, but for me, it's a way to get to those places and to achieve calm, to come to terms with a lot of anxiety that I had, which I'm happy to say it's possible to put behind you. Actually, at Princeton University right now, because I gave a talk here about the human rights situation and the democracy movement in Iran. And when I was going through a lot of difficulty, and I was painting even in my most difficult times, it was very hard for me to be physically moving around. But today I just thoroughly enjoyed my drive up here. And anyway, it's very good to be with you. It's a wonderful feeling to share art with you. Somebody was talking about naming their work and how it's not doesn't come in the beginning. For me, after I look at it at the end, or as I'm painting, I use acrylic paint. On most of these are on Reeves BFK paper. I name them at the end. Some of these are collages, you can see, like I'm using gold foil that's from chocolate wrappers, and pieces of paper that I have cut out from magazines. Yeah. So it's mostly paintings. Most of the paintings have some pencil drawings in them. And then some of them are collages that include magazine cutouts, and a lot of them have the gold foil from the chocolate wrappers. That's it. That's me.
What kind of chocolate, if I could quickly ask?
The Ferrero Rocher has the best foil.
I thought I recognized it. It's my favorite candy too.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. So what is such wonderful work.
Thank you so much, Mariam, for sharing that. For me, what really speaks to me is also as human beings who in different ways work for justice in our global migratory lives, the role of art and the role of both uh, being joy and manifesting joy, being in joy in our work, while we are also dealing with a lot of heaviness, lot of darkness, and in some ways, maybe I wonder if the art of life is not this fighting the binary, but knowing that life is both, and how do we live on these paths of of making art being revolution while also being part of revolutions, whether it's in our own studios in making art, if that's what we choose, or whether it's being on streets or doing advocacy on different issues that may speak to us as we move through life. So just really appreciate you in the wholeness, and also appreciate learning about at least for me, I feel, Shaida, I think you were talking about taboo. I do feel, at least like culturally, and it might, like for me, it might be my quirk and family quirks. Like, not, we don't talk about some of the hard things often. So it is, I really appreciate all of you for sharing different aspects of your practices. So I wanted to open the floor for some conversation between us. And I wanted to start by opening this, any of you who feels called to, since this is the AAPI Heritage Month, Asian American and Pacific Islander Month, and I've also seen different combinations of acronyms. So I honor all the acronyms I'm not saying right now. But I want to ask you, like, what does your Asian identity and through many different is your Asian identity in seen or unseen ways? Because I feel like for me, I'm never not Asian. I'm always Asian, even when I'm not talking loudly about it. So I wonder if any of you wants to like talk about what does that mean in your creative practice now or through the times?
I can go first. Yeah. Sorry, it's always happened. Go ahead, Mariam.
No, you go ahead, Shahada.
Yeah, so I think for me, being Asian means always putting others before self. Like I'm Malay, it's me, the elders before me, the parents, your relatives. Is always the immediate, the secondary before self. And then when I'm doing my artwork in the beginning, when I was much younger, it's like, is this going to be offensive in any shape or form? And because like, how would the close knitted family, perceive it? So there's a lot of entanglement and chaos, because like you want to self-express, but at the same time you want to respect your community, but you want to communicate your visual work. So for me, being Asian, there is a push and pull of conservative traditional values, but a strong desire to carve an individual one.
Yeah. I have maybe it's because I think the word escape is not quite right, but I go to art so that I can be my most free and real and authentic self. And I spend almost all of my time working on the Iran democracy, human rights situation. And I resisted all through the revolutionary period of the last 6 months and everything. And always in my life, I have a boundary where I don't want to paint about the people in Iran. I don't want to paint about the politics. I don't want to paint about the colors of the flag or the icons of the movement. For me, that's not what art for me is about. And so I haven't done it. And it was a bit strange because people knew that I was a painter, and they're like kind of looking at me like, are you going to do anything about, what's going on? And I just said, that's not the way I do my art. But my art is about almost a deeper place, a more universal or a more personal at the same time place. It's not very contextualized, and it rises above the identity.
For me, the identity comes in a sort of from the side, in terms of the visuals in my work. I think that because I grew up in Bombay, and Bombay is a place of great flux. So there's always something going on. Everything is, it seems as though something keeps happening. Something's always new is occurring. And so I think of it as a constant state of becoming. And I think that initially, especially initially, now it has changed a little bit, but the visual language that I see in my work is, I think, heavily influenced by that flux. And so I like that unfinished, aspect of my work, in the sense that I automatically gravitate towards that state. And I think when I am really thinking about it and I try to see it, I see that it's there, that language, and being visual, that automatically translates into my work.
Sally?
You're muted, Sally. You're muted.
Okay, thank you. I'm talking about, and yeah, I'm very lucky. One of my parents is very traditional. Everything need to fit in the norm to be good. And one of them are not. And the ones not really recognize me as a very liberal thinking and daring, and doesn't care the norm as much. So I always go, so it's like pulling me, they both are thinking good of me, and I take advantage of both support. So that helped me. Like in my art, I'm very liberal about my art. And also like I feel deeply about society and pain in human tragedy and stuff like that. And I never think, how do I express that? But somehow it got expressed. And then I can name it. And then I realized why is this painting happens. For example, there's a big painting called Rice. It's very, very extra. It's like a golden almost look like a mountain, but it's like rich out, and it's called rice, like rice above type of look. It's like a year later, I know how to title that, because that is, I feel really sad about September 11. And I feel the people that, you know, left with that pain need to rise above, and they can. So I realize I am, you know, liberated to go really deep, which I don't even know where. And I really want to do something, to communicate something, express something. And then also I'm talking about my other part of my family is very much want us to not express deep, you know, that's just, you know, and I a little bit of rebellious in that way, because I thought if you need to, you do it, okay? So I did a painting called Flying Pussy. I'm sorry. I have to say sorry because my other part of my family was there. Oh, what did you use? Okay, never mind. So it's called Flying Pussy. So because I think women should celebrate their parts, okay? And they should know their parts, and they should let everybody know, you know, we're flying, we're happy. It's my pussy, you know? So I'm sorry. The other part of my family probably said, what? Never mind. And so I'm not daring to not go there. But sometimes when I'm painting, I wasn't sure what am I doing. I just like, okay. And then later I said, oh, it looked like flying pussy. And I like it because that's going to tell the world, hey, we're flying, we're happy. And the funny thing is, I will ask I shouldn't stereotype people, but I did. I try to see what's going on. So I asked one person whose culture is like, you got to stay in the north, you're not supposed to do this. I said, what do you see in this painting? And he says, onion. He says, onion. Okay. So then I go to another one. I know he's very liberal, he's very free. He said, that's pussy. So I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying.
No, it's totally fine. Thank you, Sally, because I feel that because I feel you know, this balance and this dance that all of us do
Yeah.
between individual expression and freedom and liberation, and then these constraints and tradition, and we are talking about the Heritage Month and heritage and what is old, what is new, and how do we weave old and new, you know, and what do we carry with us now and carry forward? So and how do we see ourselves? So I feel it speaks to uh, to the very body of this conversation. So thank you for
Thank you.
sharing. And also, you know, as an artist myself, I feel that dance, you know.
Mm.
I feel like for me, like so much of art making is reclamation. Like I feel as somebody whose education was very, I feel as I grow older, even though like I grew up in free India, but I feel more looking back, like parts of my education were still colonized. So for me, big part of like my work is how do I decolonize my own mind? How do I connect with, like, I work on environmental issues. How do I connect with such amazing environmental wisdom in the sacred text of my own background, which I never studied. I studied economics and physics. They were not teaching us our tradition in school, you know. They were not saying that this is so good in your own tradition. So I feel like it's and also that our journeys are so unique, right? We may we arrive to them in different ways. So I really appreciate that. So I wanted to ask one more question, and audience, if you have questions, I see some, and if you have more, please put them. We'll have time to take your questions in a bit. I wanted to ask about communities, like what creative communities have nourished you so far or right now, and what creative communities do you wish that that they were there and you feel like there's a gap. So any thoughts on like communities, creative communities, communities being creative? Yeah.
Mm. For me, when I first moved to Tucson, I was still struggling with this whole identity as an artist. I had committed to it, but I was still sort of struggling. But what I really admired in Tucson was the very open artist community. And there were a lot of spaces where you could go show your work and meet other artists. And I really loved that. And I think that right from Tucson and even here after I moved to Maryland, I think that there are so many community organizations that have these open spaces, not only to learn, but to also explore and meet other people who are creatives in some way. And so for me, in the last 12 years that I've been here in the United States, it's just, I've really appreciated that so much. And so I have, in all my time here, I've spent a lot of time as a volunteer at arts organizations because I just wanted to be in this space, helping out in whatever way I could. And now, eventually, I don't unfortunately have as much time to volunteer, being a mother of a young kid who keeps me busy and having my own practice and teaching commitments. But these days, for me, it is my teaching. I think that for me, that's the most extraordinary thing that has happened, especially during the pandemic. I ended up teaching so much that I didn't know that it was something I'd enjoy. And I enjoy it because of the people I meet, in my workshops. It's just opened a whole wellspring of inspiration. And I'm so glad for it.
Thank you, Priya. As one of those people, I'm so grateful. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, same here. So grateful, Priya.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Nehaju and I need to apologize because I'm at this Princeton thing. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. I'm so glad that we're actually all physically in the same area because I would love to see you. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to see everybody's art. Thank you everyone who attended. I'm sorry that I took time to apologize.
No, it's totally fine. Can I ask you one question before you go? Because
Yeah.
it's a very important question that came from an audience member. It's really critical. Do you eat chocolate while you paint?
No, I don't. I used to eat a lot more chocolate than I do. I think it's part of my my evolution as a human that I don't need chocolate anymore.
You use the chocolate spoils. So who is eating those chocolates?
Good question. As soon as people open them, like if I have guests, I'm like, okay, can I just take your wrapper, please? I just get it right away. I did eat a lot of them myself. Yeah. Those Ferrero Rocher wrappers, if you do need gold foil, I highly recommend that one.
Great. Well, I just want to offer, like, if you want more foil, you can send the chocolates to me. You have my mailing address and you can keep the foil. And one last thing, and my thanks to you. And rest of us will still be there, everybody. So please hang around if you'd like to. Elizabeth asked, what was the name of the paper that you use, Miriam?
Okay, it's from Reeves. It's BFK paper. It's really the best paper I think that you can buy. And it comes in different weights. So you can get it in different weights. I'm sure Priya is very well aware of it. I think she used it in the workshop that I took.
It's a printmaking paper.
It's very, very good. I really like it because you can literally take it and put it underwater and then use the blow dryer to blow it dry, and it's still fine. Yep.
Thank you for sharing that. Go paint Princeton, and we'll continue the conversation. Miriam, our deep gratitude and
thank you so much. Sending love to all of you, really. New friends.
And I want to ask Shahida, Sally, any thoughts or any reflections you have on communities you have or you wish to cultivate?
Yeah, I can share. I'm a military spouse. So back in Japan, while the husband is doing a lot of TDY work, a lot of the spouse are not able to work in Japan because of the work restriction. So the artists, the creatives, form our own community, and we sort of do our own show and share. So that grows organically. When we were stationed in Kansas, in Lawrence, there is an art center that's very community focused. So the teachers live around the corner and very open. Like there's no like, hey, next Friday studio. Every day is open studio. So it's very much relaxed than it is here. But I mean, like you see now, slowly we know each other, right? So, and this is how we share and create community. But I would say what I seek out of the creative community is, constructive criticism, because you cannot grow and learn from compliments, but kindness as well, because I think most artists are very sensitive. Yeah, so that's my take in regards to what I seek out of the community, creative community.
Thank you. Sally, did you want to share anything? Oh, you're muted. Yeah, here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just so appreciate Lisa got me connected to this. This is the first one that I really, really, really into it and happy, and I feel I really love this community. It's all women and it's all diverse women, and not divorced, but I am divorced too, but like different life, different culture, different, and you're all very outspoken and very, very not in the norm, so I love this kind of community a lot. And I have been with a lot of other art. I feel there's a little front, because I don't know how to describe that. I just feel it's a little restricted a little bit and not as open as we are. But maybe I was wrong. But anyway, so another thing I was thinking, creating a community, it could be my vision too. But I was just thinking, as artists, we are defense lawyer. Okay, think about throughout the history, what did Goya did? He's painting somebody shooting executed. Okay, and then also at the Nazi time, there's the German expressionists. They are showing people the ugliness of a society in the art. And who else? And then also at the Mannerism period, they show that society or the whoever is crooked. Okay, like the bodies are over long, or buildings are a little tilted. So I think they're defending the people or the society to let them know, to be aware what we are living, or to be aware, because you might not be aware if just beautiful flower, beautiful normal body shape or whatever, and beautiful buildings. You gotta make people aware, okay, what's gonna hurt you, what's hurting the society. So I think for me, I don't know how to build that, but right now I feel homeless people. We need to be lawyer, like a defending lawyer, but I don't know how. I'm still trying to figure how I can build that community for artists to come out. I'm thinking I went to a homeless woman shelter. I think the rules or something. I bring a whole bunch of jewelry making thing and make jewelry on the. They were so touched, and then they really like it. And I was wondering if we can build something like that to help some, especially, I mean, woman, because I'm a woman, I know more than how I build for a man, right? But maybe start with a homeless woman into art, express themselves and feel the worth, the value, and feel the care from artists to help them and make the society know that they very valued it. And I don't know. It's just a thoughts right now. I don't know how to do it right, but first I just started go there to make jewelry with them, and I saw how they're very engaging with it. It's like it's interesting, but that's
Mm. Yeah, thank you so much, Sally. I really appreciate that. Especially, I
Mhm.
feel like, I work on climate change issues, and
Mhm.
what does it mean to paint when in a burning planet?
Mhm.
It means like it's everything that
Mhm.
we don't it's both persistence and it is hope and I feel it's also revolution, and it can be different things to different people, and even I feel within oneself it can mean different things at different times. So I really appreciate you sharing that. So yeah, before I open to audience, and I have so many questions, but I'll just hold on. I was wondering, do you have any questions for each other? Any question or curiosity or anything that stood out about like listening to each other? Anything that comes to mind?
My question would be, but I think Sally answered it, but you can elaborate. For Sally and Priya is like, what do you find most inspirational?
Sorry, me?
Mhm.
Oh, that's question. Most inspirational. I would say most inspirational is um to help people, sort of, if that's just too simple. But when also people do not try to fit in the norm, okay, to problem solve, and then and sharing things with people that I think a lot of inspiration can from a lot of things. I don't know how to put in one. So
Yeah, I don't have anything specific either. I think that finally it's about, I think, an expression of
mhm.
authenticity in some way, whether it's the written word or, art or spoken word or anything for that matter. I think that for me, it's most inspiring when I see or experience
Mm,
a lived reality or a lived truth.
mm,
And I think that is very often very obvious to see
mm,
in certain people.
mm,
And when that happens, it's, really incredible,
mm.
whatever shape that takes.
Hmm. Thank you, Priya. So I want to take a question from Elizabeth Wallace, who asked Shahida, many of your paintings depict very personal characters in your life, perhaps almost like a diary. Does that make it more difficult to make them available for sale or not at all?
My answer, yes. Sales is definitely not my art forte. They don't sell like hotcakes. But because they are very personal and very emotional, the pieces, and when they know the story, it might evoke or trigger some strong emotions from them. And that's when they feel like they want to be part of it. And that's when purchases are made. Yeah. But yeah, sales is definitely not like hotcakes.
I hear you. I actually, related to that, I want to ask you, like, what is your relationship or like about sustainability, like both, like as artists, I know I've had to work on my relationship with like selling my art because I think I've come really far because I used to be at a point I used to be like, this is like art is so sacred to me, I cannot sell it. Like till like I was in a mentoring artist circle, and this person really helped me open my heart and mind. They said like hoarding your art is not divine. They said if you have been given a gift, you should share it with the world. So, and I feel that for me is an ongoing learning. How do you sell art without selling out? So I want to ask, like, for you all, like, do you have any thoughts on sustainability, whether it's sustaining oneself as a from the livelihood of art, or even like sustaining one's health as artist, one's well-being as artist. So any thoughts on sustaining as artists?
I can go ahead. So I exercise every day to sustain my mental health. And also I think it benefits the physical health. And because I mean, to me, art is very personal and is in a form of expression. I don't really take a lot of commission, and I'm very happy to be doing what I'm doing, working on my series and what I feel is important. In terms of sustainability, I realize when I do, for example, when I do an art exhibition, if people don't buy original artwork, they tend to buy prints. That's something I would share with other artists. I mean, their original artworks takes time. We are selling part of our soul, our story, and I think artists should value that and should not underprice and just to make sale. But making prints would sustain you. That's what I would add.
Hmm.
I personally believe that, in some ways, there's a lot of pressure that is put on individual choices. And while all of us have to make choices that are, in recognition of, the ecological damage that is there, I think that artists also need to, not only artists, all of us, everyone, regardless of whether you're artists, put more pressure on the big companies and the big guys who are putting all the damage and then asking the individual to make all the changes. So I think that it's not just our individual efforts, but our efforts to demand the giants to make changes.
Mm.
And I think as artists, we are already living smaller lives, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's, so I don't know, it's something to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of artists live very minimally,
Mhm.
I think all the money that we get is spent on buying
Buying back the materials, right, Priya?
yeah, it's not a lavish lifestyle. There's not a lot of waste. I think that we all there is a inherent I'm not saying that there aren't artists who are lavish and extravagant and maybe
Yeah.
creating a lot of waste and all of that, but
We sacrifice.
we do have a voice, I think, when we think of ourselves as citizens and
Mhm.
consumers and those aspects of our lives, and so yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, great insights, and an ongoing practice. And thank you for the tips as an artist. I feel all of those are, I have to like keep reminding myself. So I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
But I think as artists, right, we do have that what other people don't have, like in the career, we do what we want. We have
Mhm.
that freedom to express, and I think that's a privilege. And although it's suffering because, like Priya said, we're living minimally, we're not like big corporates,
Yeah.
but I get to do what I want. I dictate what I want. And, I think
Yeah.
that's a blessing.
Yeah, we trade with materials things for our soul, for our emotions. So we feel like we sacrifice the material stuff, but still gain something. But there's many ways you can also still gain being very much in art, like teaching art, or because when you're teaching art, you every day is with art, even though you did not produce, but still. And so this, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Elizabeth asked in the chat, are there several male artists from the Asian community in the DMV? I know a few. Yeah, I know. I feel, yeah, it's a fairly like diverse and fairly sizable community. I was a part of exhibition last couple of years called Asia in Maryland at Towson University. And that's why I really I appreciate all of you being here. Shaida, Priya, Sally, and Mariam for making time, because it can feel like one is alone. But like when I was at this show, I was like, what? There are so many of us.
Exactly right.
Like people from, like from across the gender spectrum, different identities. Yeah. I don't know if you all have any thoughts on that.
Yes, I feel that way too.
Yeah. Well, anybody else in the audience, if you have any questions? I see Lisa's wonderful mama joining us. Hi, Barbara. And thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your constant support. You are our constant gardener. Thank you for
Thank you. I enjoy it. Thank you for having me.
you for having Lisa so she could have us.
One of the participants wrote to me privately to ask on their behalf about all of our artists, including you, Neha, come from other places in the world. What has been your experience as an artist in the United States compared and contrasted to your native land or your local diaspora cultural community? We've kind of touched on that. I know Sally touched on it a bit and remarked that everyone's so like open. So I leave that question for all of you, including Neha, who is also a visual artist as well. So
Yeah.
maybe Sally could start.
Oh, comparing, yes, I feel it's not as everybody's very open here, you know, and everybody had their vision, and they try to not live fix to the norm. And I do not have so much, but comparison, though I kind of know from where I'm from, it's a little restricted to be open like that. So yeah, it's not anybody pressure to not be open. It's just somehow you're not, getting somehow maybe the source or whatever. I think over here is much more open and much more free to express and talk and thinking about for the future of artists vision and stuff. Yeah.
I found that in India, when I was trying to figure my life as an artist, I thought that I found a very supportive community there as well. In some ways, there were opportunities to learn and all of that. But the difference between India and here for me personally is that, but there is a difference that when I came here, I was still figuring things out. So that's the difference. But I'd say that the major difference here is that it's more organized.
Oh.
And it's organized, and there is a system in place that it's more open, no matter more or less where you live, that there are opportunities for everybody to participate in art in some form. So you may not be a professional artist, but there are more opportunities to learn and do things. But this was a long time ago in India, so I don't know how things have changed. But that said, even then I found a lot of enthusiasm for my choices. I had people sending me all kinds of opportunities. But like I said, it was not as organized as it is here. Here you know that there is going to be a local arts community that you can go to find your people and those kind of things. So.
Yeah, I think I agree with Priya. Over here is definitely there is a system, it's organized.
Yeah.
There's a set up community. I find where I am, Singapore is very modern, thriving, but when I'm talking about different ethnic groups, very conservative, especially like because I'm a mom. Like, why are you doing art? No flying pussy here. And you know, over here, I think as compared to Asia, Southeast Asia, there is plenty of space for individual expressionism, as opposed to being collective. You're part of this. You're part of this. You know, I think there's less taboo, superstitious, cultural faux pas. You know, but because we are Asian, and here I'm in a Western context, bringing those paradigm to the Western world brings about very interesting dialogue, and as an intersection, and opens really a whole dimension of perspective. But I am enjoying it here.
I appreciate all of you sharing, and I think it's a great question. For me, there are multiple layers. One, I feel art is in my DNA. The way I grew up, there wasn't a separation. You don't go to museum to experience art. Art is life. The way I grew up, my mom is a doctor, and she has amazing art over her life that she has created. So same with my grandmother, who was late grandmother, who was a Sanskrit scholar. So, and even like, I feel in the house itself, our home is a place of art in multiple ways, music and visual art. Like first thing in the morning, music is going on. So I feel that that being art is, I'm so grateful that that is part of my heritage and my culture and my intergenerational legacy. That's one layer. The second layer is I studied physics and economics in India. So, and I feel my peer group, was not artist, and that's not true for everybody, but like for me, I was such a geek, such a nerd, and I was like working, studying physics, economics. I did not, as I grew older, and I feel it maybe happens to people around the world, because there's this hierarchy in many education systems that puts science, math above arts. Like I know, like in my South Asian families, like people, most of them are not dreaming about their children to become artists. They want them to get a stable job and settle. So I feel like in my experience, and I don't think it has so much to do with like India per se, but where I have been on my journey. Like Priya was saying, for me, experiences I have gone through, and art for me is a big part of healing, my own healing and healing of our planet through like environmental issues. So what I do appreciate, like I would give a shout out to Maryland State Art Council, because I've been going to their summit for last couple of years. They're also one of SSTCI supporters. I do appreciate that, like just to connect and have like an institutional opportunity. Not to say there are not challenges, not to say there needs to be much more support, but I appreciate like that something is there. And like SSTCI, I appreciate it. So yeah, some thoughts on my experience. I want to ask Elizabeth has a question. Elizabeth, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. First, I'd just like to make a comment to what you just said, Neha, is when you were talking about we have a tendency to put, well, this culture has a tendency to put science, technology, engineering, and math above the arts. My experience with people who have been astronauts, and they go up to space and they look at Earth from space, and they have an experience of looking back at Earth and feeling, one, the sense of responsibility for taking care of her, but also a sense of oneness with the entire universe, not just with Earth. And many of them who are scientists or tech or engineers come back and say, you really need to send an artist. So there's this, you get elevated when the engineers go to space. The occupations of the artists get much elevated in their eyes. So I just want to share that a bit with you. But the question I had was, I do some poetry, I do some writing, I do some photography, I do just stuff. I just kind of like call it all doodling, all right? But at what point did you own it and say, I am an artist? Was there a moment in your life that you really realized that you took on that cloak and said, yeah, that's who I am?
I started when I was very young. I know I'm an artist. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Just
Don't
Yeah.
be sorry, Sally.
okay.
I think for me, it's come in waves. And so I remember for me also, like Sally, I had announced at age 7 that I was going to grow up and be an artist. I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
But to me, it sounded like a good idea to just draw all day.
Make you
But I
happy.
forgot about it. And I
Mm,
realized when I was
Mm.
20, because I was obviously at that time also just constantly just doing this, but then studying something else because jobs, this, that.
Right.
And then realizing at 20 when I studied with an artist and studying in his studio, this was somewhere else. This is not in India or the US, but it's a whole other story. But I'll just keep it
Mhm.
short. That when I studied with an artist in his studio, I realized that that was the life I wanted. Because it just felt like home. But then again, I forgot and I started to, got a job and this and that, tried to figure it out, couldn't, till again, I came to a point where I had to sort of choose. I had come to a fork in the road, and it came to a point where I realized that I was just lying to myself constantly,
Mhm.
and that I just couldn't do it anymore, and that I couldn't have my feet in two boats.
Mm.
And then I chose a path, and I'm still here. So I'd say it's going well now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody?
I think with Priya, it comes in wave. There is moments where I feel like I'm such an imposter. I don't know how other artists feel, and then but I would say nothing gives me a faster heartbeat than thinking of an idea that I want to put on a canvas or drawing I want to do. Like, oh my God, I want to do this. And then the state of flow is sustained longest when I'm doing art. So I think if those kind of thing, like Elizabeth, you are writing and you're doing photography, if that gives you such a buzz and energy, you're creative, you're an artist, and you can try to run from it, but I think you'd be horrible. I mean, I think I'm a horrible person if I don't spend enough time in my studio. Like I get very antsy. So
Wonderful. Elizabeth, what a beautiful question. And also, yeah, I think they even have a term for that when people from space see Earth. So thank you for this beautiful question. For me, I would just say it's an act, it's a constant act and a meditative practice of remembering, because I feel creativity is our birthright. We are born creative beings. We forget. So I feel I'm in a constant state of remembering since I was 30, and I had what I thought was my quarter life crisis, but who can know when the quarter comes, right? So, but thank you, and I really appreciate your presence and questions. So as we close our circle, I just wanted to ask Shaida, Priya, Sally, do you have any artistic dream you want to put in the world?
Artist what? I'm sorry.
Any dream, like any artistic project or dream idea or painting that you wish to do, or maybe it's just you are open, what will come? Yeah. Yeah.
For me, it's open or welcome, but I definitely, try to narrow it down. It's too many dreams. But
too many dreams.
Yes, too many dreams.
I
Yeah.
just remind myself, I have to have raw courage, and I have the courage to create, never lose that. So
Yeah. Thank you.
I think for me, the I wouldn't call it a dream, but you know, the aim is to just get to the studio and work. That's it.
Hmm,
Nothing,
exactly.
nothing more. Just
Mhm.
everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it. Keep walking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the same. Like if there is a word, it would be abundance. I want abundance of space and time in my studio. Right? Isn't that the dream of an artist though? I don't know. Yeah. And I would love to continue, you know, advocating for issues when I'm doing a series of work, that I can continue that and have the energy to sustain that and not give up, like Sally said.
Yeah, yeah. Wonderful. Well, I'll just take the creative abundance, if I may. And on that wonderful note of creative abundance, we entered with 3 breaths. May we leave with 3 breaths? Would you breathe with me and let your, if your breath so feel, let them make some sound. So first, second, and third breath. Thank you for sharing with us, Priya, Shahida, Sally.
Thank you
And
so much, Neha.
Mariam. And thank
Thank
you,
you,
Lisa.
Shahida. Thank you, Sally, and also to Mariam and Lisa. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much. This
Lisa.
was really
Thank
wonderful.
you so
Thank-
much,
Thank you to
Sally,
everybody who
Shaida,
attended.
Priya, Mariam, who's our featured artist next month or next week, featured artist of the month. Please
Oh,
join us for that. And thank you also to our host, Neha Mishra, for facilitating another inspiring dialogue
Thank
among
you.
our local creative community members.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to seeing you again.
okay. Thank
And
you.
our
you.
audience, we are, because we all need audiences. So thank
And
you,
the
our
audience.
audience.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining us. It's a great way to start off AAPI Heritage Month.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I would just say, you know, continue what you and I can do to honor AAPI month is, you know, if there's an artist who resonated with you, maybe all of us, maybe one of us share about, you know, their work with a friend. It can be a friend, a neighbor. That's truly how we support each other, by witnessing and by sharing. So thank you again. Have a wonderful
much.
evening. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
So much.